Greetings everyone, welcome to video number 46 in the project management series presented by Process Geekoid. Today's agenda will be going over reviewing the PMBOK process table as well as the control procurement process. As always, please subscribe, like, and comment. So let's move forward. So after having assigned document and contract, the next step is to monitor and control to see if the contract is working out in the favor of the project team. As project managers, we take in the procurement management plan, selected sellers, contracts, and use procurement performance reviews to see how well the seller is performing to meet the objectives laid out in the contract or agreement. If there is any variance to the performance, the team may raise a change request to be approved or rejected in the Perform Integrated Change Control process and get those approved changes reflected as corrective or preventative actions, and they will be implemented in the next round of contract execution. In a nutshell, the 40-second process of control procurement is the process of managing procurement relationships, managing contract performance, and making changes and corrections as appropriate via change requests. Also, procurement management is similar to quality management in that it is an iterative process, since planning, execution, and controlling all happen multiple times until the end customer is satisfied with quality along with contract terms of service. Next, we would like to go over the ITTOs for control procurement. So, as we just mentioned, it is a process of managing procurement relations, monitoring contract performance, and making changes and corrections to contracts as appropriate. So, for inputs, we have the project management plan, which contains the procurement management plan. Then you have procurement documents. Now this is really important to control procurements because we need to go back to these documents to make sure that everything that the seller has said that they will do is actually being done. So the documents that we'll be looking at specifically is the RFI, which is Request for Information, which is basically focused on done before other procurement docs are created and used to just get the information from the actual seller or vendor. Then you have invitation for bid, which is going to be used in the planned procurement process and is also known as RFB or request for bid. And you're asking potential vendors or bidders to the bidders conference that happens in Perform Procurement process, and you're going to get what they offer, the price. So the request for quotation also comes into place, asking potential vendors of what price or value they are putting on their service per hour or per item or other unit of measure. Then you have RFP or request for proposal or tender, RFT, where the potential vendors or bidders, you're going to be asking them what they actually are proposing to offer as a service to the buyer. And those are all the types of procurement documents. So this is the point where we're checking to see that they have lived up to their word. Then the next input is going to be your contracts or agreements, which is coming from Perform Procurement process. And also, you also have approved change requests, which is an output from Perform Integrated Change Control, and is an input here since we will use procurement performance reviews as a tool in this process to see if the approved changes have been implemented in the current round of contract execution by the service provider. Also, we have work performance reports, which is coming from Monitor and Control Project work process that takes into account the work performance information from this process and other controlling processes to present project progress, as well as any impediments or positive feedback to the sponsor and other stakeholders. And as always, we also will have work performance data as an input, which you're going to gather all appropriate raw observations and analyze them in context to give work performance information from this process as an output in regards to contract performance. This is a hallmark that we have seen so far up to this point, where the raw observations are an input and the output we get is work performance information, where the data is analyzed in context to see how we are doing in regards to procurement, quality, etc. Next, we'll be going over the tools and techniques. So this is a long list, but each tool has its meaning and purpose. So contract change control system is basically defining the process by which procurement can be modified using a tracking system, which includes a dispute resolution process, approval levels of authority for change, and is part of the integrated change control system. Then you have procurement performance reviews. This is similar and akin to the quality audit used in quality assurance process, where the quality process is audited to identify if deliverables are being created following the process and identify any problems in a process before they transpire or transfer over to the deliverable itself. So in procurement performance review, since it's similar to quality audit, the way it's similar is it takes in the project management plan, selected sellers, contracts, and perform procurement performance reviews to see how well the seller is performing to meet the objectives laid out in the contract. You will raise change requests as a team to be approved or rejected by the change control board and be implemented as approved changes in the next cycle of contract performance, and you'll be controlling that. So it is a process of managing procurement relationships, managing contract performance, and making changes and corrections as appropriate via change requests. So performance review is basically looking to see how well the seller is doing and raise change requests to make sure that it meets project goals. Then you have inspections or reviews to inspect to see if the contract requirements are being met in a proposed project. Next, you also have performance reporting, which is akin to the work performance reports. And these are inputs to transmit information to stakeholders. It is the act of collecting and distributing appropriate work performance information to give status reports, progress measurements, and forecasts, variance analysis reports, which is actual versus baseline, and send that over to your stakeholders so that they are aware that the contract is going as planned. Then the payment system is going to be a tool here because you want to make sure that payments to the seller are done by the buyer's accounts payable system and is done after the control quality, verify deliverables, and validate scope and accepted deliverables process. And the buyer is going to certify that the work is satisfied and completed by an authorized person on the project team, and you'll pay the seller the agreed amount based in the contract. Then you have claims administration. Note that a claim is any dispute that happens between the buyer and seller, so you want to make sure that all disputes and claims are going to be taken care of by the PMO team. So basically, as a project manager, you are trying to resolve all disputes and claims raised by the buyer or seller in regards to the agreed contract and resolve it using a contract change control system. Last tool is records management system. This is a system to store procurement records and also any claims that might have come up. Make sure that you take care of all these issues. Then the output is going to be work performance information, and this is all the raw observations regarding the procurement as a whole and the contract to see how the contract is doing, and that is going to go into monitor and control project work to give a work performance report. Then you have change requests. As always, if we have issues with the contract, we raise them and send them to the change control board for approval or rejection. Then project management plan updates. You're updating the procurement management plan, schedule baseline, cost baseline, and then you're also updating the project document updates. These are updates to your RFB, RFP, RFI, RFQ, and all the other procurement documents. Then you have OPA updates. And these are updates to correspondence, how you're going to correspond or communicate to your stakeholders, such as your vendors, payment schedules and requests, and seller performance evaluation, documentation, or feedback. And the key benefit of this process is that it ensures that both the seller's and buyer's performance meets the procurement requirements according to the terms of the legal agreement or contract. Thank you for watching this video. Please subscribe, like, and comment.